diary. Laura talked about all the paving workbook forms and things, and they all that workbook can really do a lot of things as far as calculations, and it's amazing the amount of things it can calculate, and it calculates the whole cutoff report for us. And as long as we put the inputs in, every once in a while, just for my own good, I like to just run through one of these myself and kind of break it apart and kind of do it by hand. And it kind of is good that way, because if something goes wrong, and sometimes it does, not very often, but sometimes things don't work out, you kind of wonder why. So I just want to go through one real quick. Basically what we get, this is kind of the heart of the things that happen out there as far as the binder's concerned. It tells you two things: quantity of binder that you use during the day, and it also tells you the percent of binder in the mix that was. Now we have a range. If we started with, if we want 5% in the mix, we want to end up with that. We want to do this cutoff and find out those two things. And so I kind of broke it down in segments here, and it's just going to kind of talk about each one a little bit. So the first one here is the beginning of the day. The contractor is going to want to, as I mentioned earlier, stick the tank. And that's going to tell them how many hot gallons they have. Now, the plant, a lot of plants, they have several plants out there, or several tanks full of mix. They want to get readings from all of them. And this is actually the first section of the cutoff report. And so they enter all those hot gallons in there, and they know the temperature. So then they go to their pocketbook, or our pocketbook. We used to have to do this stuff by hand, but now this is all in the paving workbook. But anyway, you put down your correction factor and bring it down to a volume of 60 degrees. So all these are smaller than what is over here. And then from there, you want to go through it like we did for that example. Got your gallons at a standard temperature, and you're going to want to know the specific gravity of the manifest that was of the average of the day from the day before. You want to put that in there, and then what you're going to end up with is you're going to get a certain amount of you're going to end up with tons. You got a certain amount of tons for the beginning of the day. And as the job goes on, there's going to be many trucks coming into the plant, and they're going to be giving us, for every load, they're going to have a manifest like this. Now, this one actually came out of Canada, so there's some metric numbers here, but you get your shipping number, your binder, the type of binder, your quantity. Now, that can be converted down into a pounds figure. And then the specific gravity of the binder is all from this manifest. This particular one, for instance, the 67373 is one of these that is on this cutoff report right here. And so you get these all day. This is for that day, there were several trucks came in. You want to add that all up, divide by 2,000. All we're worrying about in the manifest part of this, doesn't matter what the temperature is, it's what pounds are there, or tons. So in this case, during the day, that's how many tons came in. And so there's things happening during the day here. There's mix adding to the tank, or transports are filling the tanks up, but it's simultaneously being drained by the plant. And so we're keeping track of that. The end of the day, we do the same thing as we did at the beginning. We stick the tank. The contractor sticks the tanks in our presence, and go through the same thing again. We end up with a ton number here again. And so then all that information we can take here now, and we'll add, we got bitumen in its storage, so we got that much to start with. We added that much to it. This is what's left over, so we subtract that, and we go through that calculation. So 211.24 was used, tons was used that day in the mix. And so then we can go into here now, the last portion here. We know from the tickets that there was, in this case, 421074 of actual mix put on produced that day. And then we confer with the asphalt plant or asphalt paving inspector to find out how many tons of waste there was on the road. There may be some tons of waste in the plant too. And so we add that to it because it was actually produced during the project. So that all gets totaled. And then we can figure out from that, just by dividing this 21124 by the 4212, we can figure out how much a binder was actually used, or percentage of the binder in a ton of mix. And I believe this job that was 5% was the target, so they got pretty close here. So now we got to kind of figure out the waste, though. We don't want to pay for that oil that's in the waste. There's just a calculation here to figure out how much waste we want to, or actual binder that's in the waste. We want to subtract that from this 21124. So this is what we actually pay the contractor. We're going to pay them this for this many tons at whatever the bid price was for the oil. And so that's what you get out of a cutoff report. At the end of the day, they're going to also give us what they're required to do in section 154 is give us a printout of every 15 or 20 minutes. I think it's 15 in the spec. I'm not sure why this is 20, but it is. Everything that goes on during the day, during that 10-minute time or 20-minute time period, all the weights, everything that's happening. So we're going to get a printout out of that every day.